Do not forget, you can support the channel with a like, and you can also subscribe to be aware of the latest published videos. Thank you. We hope that here you can find the latest news, ideas, and discoveries from the scientific world.
In 1908, an explosion 1,000 times more powerful than Hiroshima hit Russia. Why did the largest impact on Earth take over 10 years to investigate? On the morning of June 30, 1908, the largest impact event on Earth in recorded history occurred in Russia. Yet despite the enormity of the explosion, 1,000 times more powerful than that in Hiroshima, the Tungska event of Siberia remains widely unknown. The limited instrumentation available at the time, combined with the remote location of the site, near the Podkamennaya Tungska River in Yeniseysk Governorate, added another layer of mystery to the explosion, with assessments and studies largely conducted many years after the event. It was 7:17 a.m. local time when Yeniseysk natives and Russian settlers in the hills northwest of Lake Baikal observed a column of incredibly bright bluish light moving across the sky. 10 minutes later, a flash and sound similar to artillery fire erupted. The shockwave that followed was so powerful that people were knocked to the ground, and even hundreds of kilometers away, windows broke. Miraculously, the explosion occurred in an area that was sparsely populated. Considering the significant damage that would later be uncovered, it is estimated that the human death toll stood at just 3. The damage to local flora and fauna, however, would have been catastrophic. In 1926, Chuchin, a member of the Yeniseysk tribe, spoke of his memories. "We had a hut by the river with my brother Chekarin. We were sleeping. Suddenly we both woke up at the same time. Somebody shoved us. We heard whistling and felt strong wind. Chekarin said, 'Can you hear all those birds flying overhead?' We were both in the hut, couldn't see what was going on outside. Suddenly, I got shoved again, this time so hard I fell into the fire. I got scared. Chekarin got scared too. We started crying out for father, mother, brother, but no one answered. There was noise beyond the hut, we could hear trees falling down. Chekarin and I got out of our sleeping bags and wanted to run out, but then the thunder struck. This was the first thunder. The earth began to move and rock, the wind hit our hut and knocked it over. My body was pushed down by sticks, but my head was in the clear. Then I saw a wonder, trees were falling, the branches were on fire, it became mighty bright, how can I say this, as if there was a second sun, my eyes were hurting, I even closed them. It was like what the Russians call lightning. And immediately there was a loud thunderclap. This was the second thunder. The morning was sunny, there were no clouds, our sun was shining brightly as usual, and suddenly there came a second one. Chekarin and I had some difficulty getting out from under the remains of our hut. Then we saw that above, but in a different place, there was another flash, and loud thunder came. This was the third thunderstrike. Wind came again, knocked us off our feet, struck the fallen trees. We looked at the fallen trees, watched the tree tops get snapped off, watched the fires. Suddenly Chekarin yelled, "Look up," and pointed with his hand. I looked there and saw another flash, and it made another thunder. But the noise was less than before. This was the fourth strike, like normal thunder. Now I remember well, there was also one more thunder strike, but it was small, and somewhere far away, where the sun goes to sleep. Air waves from the blast were so extreme they were detected not only in Europe, but as far away as Washington, D.C., and the Dutch East Indies, measuring the equivalent of an earthquake measuring 5.0 on the Richter magnitude scale. The night skies of Asia and Europe would glow for days to come. Despite the far-reaching signs that something enormous had occurred, incredibly it would be more than a decade after the event that any scientific analysis took place in the region. This was the result of not only the isolated location, but also the vast political upheaval in Russia throughout the 1910s. From eyewitness accounts, it had been established that the most likely cause was impact from a giant meteorite. It would be Russian mineralogist Leonid Kulik who led the first expedition to the region in 1921, where he was tasked with conducting a survey for the Soviet Academy of Sciences. 6 years later, on another scientific expedition, he finally succeeded in reaching the blast site. The sight that greeted the team was extraordinary. In a zone measuring roughly 8 kilometers across, trees stood standing upright, but they were entirely devoid of branches and scorched completely. The trees beyond were partially scorched and knocked down, pointing away from the center of the area and forming a large radial pattern of dead trees. Decades later, the leveled forest would be measured as an area that covered 2,150 square kilometers. But back in 1927, there was something perplexing Kulik. Where was the crater of the meteorite impact? Many more expeditions and subsequent hypotheses would follow throughout the decades, with one specific scientific explanation leading the way. The explosion was caused by an asteroid bursting in the air at a distance of roughly 6 to 10 kilometers above the Earth's surface, with a 2019 paper suggesting the explosive power could have measured between 20 to 30 megatons of TNT. To this day, scientists continue to study the area, with over 1,000 scholarly papers published since 1908. Estimates to the frequency of Tungska-sized events vary between once every 300 to 1,000 years,